All right, Shalom. First and
Shalom.
foremost, we want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh,
Yahweh.
Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Rakah, Kudash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And we out here once again, going to go right into it. All right, we're going to start off with the book of Proverbs. Okay, what was that, 18? 18? Because really there's a lot of things going on now. I put an article in the chat. No, we're gonna go into that later, but this is another one, Proverbs 18 and 10. I put an article early in the chat about how Texas basically are proposing a bill to be able to produce gold-backed a central bank digital currency, but a state produced one that is not from the Fed. Okay, and Texas and a few other states, they've always, for the most part, been on that vibe of wanting to secede, do their own thing, be separate. And now they don't want parts to do with the Fed. Okay, but at the end of the day, the way Esau works is either he controls it or nobody has it. And so he will find a way. Now, let's not forget that there's always the tactic they use of controlled opposition. Meaning, outwardly, you think, oh, Texas wants to do their own thing. They want to have their own CBDC issued by Texas and not controlled by the Fed. But what's the underlying factor between these two things? A CBDC is still being pushed. Okay, that's their whole thing. Get your foot. Okay, all right. Get your foot into the door, and once it's scraping at the door, once it's in the door, then they're able to pry their way there. You're not aimlessly moving your fingers on the other side of the door. That's the inside joke, but that's what they want to do, right? So if they can get the CBDC, they can get that out there with the FedNow payment system. Like I mentioned before, the FedNow payment system is a system, and it's like a railway, okay? And the CBDC is going to be like the train that runs on this railway. So that's what they're going to do, because the FedNow system is going to deal with digital currencies, because it's the movement of digital funds from one area to another area instantaneously. So what does it tell you when the Fed says that they're trying to basically roll out this FedNow payment system starting in July? It tells you that, well, if you are building a new railway, what does that tell you? That clearly there's going to need to be some trains coming along in this direction. So what they're doing is rolling out the red carpet so that they can bring out the CBDC. And the CBDC is going to be on the red carpet, but even that in itself is going to be like another road for the MOTB to ride on. Okay, so they're setting this up all strategically.
Right, and that's beautifully said, because remember what the apostle John said. All right, in the book of Revelation, he saw this. He said, and he causeth all. So we're in the stage, and we always bring this out about the word causeth. In the Greek word mean poeo. At this point, you got all these other camps that go around saying, oh, it's whatever. It's whatever their fickle imagination thinks it is. No, it's one specific thing that he saw. He actually envisioned everything we're seeing now. Did not Ezra see the things that we're seeing now and the things that's yet to come? Did not Daniel see all these things that's yet to come? Again, these are prophecies, meaning there are things that are set at an appointed time to happen. And then before they happen, the Lord sent his angels through the Holy Spirit to send to specific men, all right, to write these things down, so we in this incarnation could break it down, read it, and then tie it into current events, so we can understand the times that we're in, right? So when you go into that word causeth, that's the stage that we're in now. When the World Economic Forum comes in, and then they have these so-called meetings, and then they plan and decide, we're going to use AI for this. We're going to change how the consumer market works. We're going to change how payments work. We're going to change how people eat. We're going to change what you eat. We want to make people into different, inorganic compounds and so on and so forth. These are all part of the troubles that befalls the earth. Revelation 12 and 12, just to mention one quick precept, right? But the point here is we're in the stage of that transition that they've been talking about for so long. And it's going to be happening in the next couple of months. They said by July, the whole entire states are going to be using something known as a CBDC that we've been talking about. Okay, and that opens up the door, like the brother said, it opens up the door and paves the way for the MOTB, because now the system is set in place, and that no man might buy or sell save he. So after the system is set, then it will be no man might buy or sell except use this thing, this new form of currency. And it's going
Right.
to be only digital. It's not going to be, oh, well, I'm using my phone now. Bro, overnight, it's just going to happen all of a sudden, just like that. That's how fast things are going to roll. You see? So, hey, we're there, man. Like, we're in April now. And Texas, of course, they're going to use Texas, because Texas is kind of like off grid doing their own thing. So if they can nail them and do it as a trial, we already know how the other states are gonna follow right after that. New York, LA, Florida, all these different states, they're gonna flow right through that. But it starts with Texas because they're bigger, right? And they have their own kind of grid, they have their own way of doing things. A lot of the so-called Bible Belt people are out there in Texas. So it will set the tone for what's gonna be happening here in America. It has to start with one state and then move on to the rest. But it's gonna happen. It's coming very soon, man. A lot of people don't pay attention, but I believe you also put an article that a lot of people, all right, are losing money. They wake up and then
Oh yeah.
there's no money in their bank account. Like,
And
what the
banks
fuck
are
you think
closing
that's
the
about?
account.
Yeah, closing their accounts and all that shit. That's preparing you, because very soon, and that no man might buy or sell. You don't have a bank account anymore unless you come and take this. You know what? So we're there, man. But you
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah. No. Recently, there's been a lot of banking changes. A lot of banks are starting to switch up. Some of them are starting to say, "Look, we're no longer interested in banking in this kind of way." So maybe we had previous standards where you could come and have this kind of account or do this, but now we're shifting away from that. So now we got to start closing accounts. Now you can't open accounts this way, or you can't do this. And in the article, they were saying that people are seeing some strange transactions, and the banks are not able to explain it, but they're closing the accounts. And you have something called bail-ins, where they actually take your money. That's what the bank actually takes your money, and then they call. Look it up. You can look it up. Okay. So the whole banking system in itself is very fraudulent, at least in today's day and age. And now, like the brother was saying, with all these things happening on a world scale, these devils are not stupid. The ignorance of inflation and the continual rise of the interest rate and the whole Russia-Ukraine situation and the whole Big C, right? The Big C demic, all of these things have come together to basically what's the word I'm looking for? To push away people from the dollar. And it is motivated or lit a fire under this de-dollarization movement for people to see, hey, it's not actually beneficial to be holding US Treasury bonds anymore, because guess what? Even countries overseas, when you hear, for example, China is dumping such and such US Treasuries, in essence they're holding dollars, right? And a dollar is a in essence, and a dollar is an IOU. So or you could think of it kind of like a bond. So if I give you money, right? If I lend you money and you give me that bond certificate, in essence, you're gonna need to pay me back at the end of such X period of time. But now these countries are saying, no, we're not gonna do that, because if I lent you $10 and you say I'll pay you $10 back, I'm not getting $10 back. Because of inflation, I'm really getting like $5 back. So I'm losing money. And on top of that, there's all these other things going around. And then you want to weaponize the dollar? What they did in Russia was basically they said the Russians, right? People in Russia had dollars that they had worked for. Maybe they made money in Russian currency, and then they converted it to dollars so they can make some form of transactions. Then the U.S. said, well, because you guys have a war in Ukraine, we're going to freeze those dollars that you have. Those aren't our assets. It's not like, no, this is your dollars, but we're going to freeze it because it's our currency. What do you think that's going to make not just the Russians, but the rest of these other nations do when they start to see that? They're going to say, oh, that's how you play? So if we own dollars, we could potentially end up on the receiving end of something like this. So all of these things have been all happening strategically and systematically to phase out the petrodollar, to phase out that physical currency. And then they can easily jump on, because the timing, always pay attention to the timing. Maybe something might happen from May to July that they need to have this system in place to say, hey, look how good it was that we had this system in place. How about you, Michelle? Because if we did it with the volatility of this dollar, it's pretty much on its way out. People need to, and that's a perfect way to rush people into a digital currency. Say, hey, we need to jump ship now. The Titanic is sinking, and we broke something. The Fed broke something, so now we gotta do something about it.
Let's not forget about Cyber Polygon too. With
That's
the
it.
whole,
That was
the
about
EMP
Cyber
and all
Polygon.
that. Yeah,
Yep.
because they want to set up a whole internet bill of rights. So that'll be
Mm.
a perfect time for them to set everything all at once. You know, you have new laws, new internet laws, new way of transaction on the internet. You know, there was a video that actually the elder Yashwama posted on his Two Information channel, right? And it was this chick who was on I believe it was Fox, and she was on TV, and she's basically saying that she was so-called sexually harassed in the metaverse, man. Like that's where we at now. You see what I'm saying? Like this insanity and madness that these people just keep perpetrating. Like they keep pushing it step by step, step by step. And who is it influencing? The children, the kids, the people who are gonna be in 5-10 years. They're gonna be where we at now. They're the ones who are so-called being influenced by this shit. So like the Lord said, if he weren't shortening the days for the elect's sake, there'll be no flesh that'll be saved, man. With all this human augmentation, the AI shit, all this bullshit that they got planned, man. Well, at the end of the day, the prophecy stands. Esau, you're not gonna get nowhere with that, man. You see a lot of people waking up now. A whole people around the world. Look what's going on in France. Look what's going on in France, bro. If you really pay attention to what's going on over there, man, that's the same thing that's coming here to Babylon the Great and worse. Because over here, once the people wake up to what's going on, they're gonna be so pissed off with this whole Biden shit. Hey, it's gonna be real bad, man. Real bad. All right, so hey, get ready, man. But,
Yeah.
You got it.
Let's get that in Proverbs 18 and 10 real quick, and see if you can find the account of what you have. Psalms, drop that, and the okay, drop those two. Check in the book of Second Kings. There's an account of a famine when Ahab was going by, and the two mothers, you know, is it 14? But yeah, when you have that, you can bring it up.
This is Proverbs chapter 18, verse 10. It says, the name of the Lord is a strong tower. The righteous runneth into it and is safe. So anybody that's called, matter of fact, let me bring out a precept to back that up. Hold on. One second. So I just read in Proverbs 18 and 10. I'll read it again. It says, Proverbs 18 and 10 says, the name of the Lord is a strong tower. The righteous runneth into it and is safe. Now the name of the Heavenly Father and Son is what? Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai. Yahweh is the name of the Heavenly Father, and Yahushai is the name of the Son. And it says the righteous runneth into it and is safe. So the name of the Heavenly Father is a strong tower, right? And this is Sirach chapter 2. And I'm going to go to verse, where is it? Verse 10. It says, look at the generations of old and see, did ever any trust in the Lord and was confounded? Which is a rhetorical question. No. Or did any abide in his fear and was forsaken? No. Or whom did he ever despise that called upon him? Because the Lord knows in order for you to call upon him, you have to call upon him in sincerity and truth, and you have to actually fear his name. Because you can't come to the Heavenly Father with a double heart, one foot in the world and 1 foot with him. No, the Heavenly Father is not about that. So when it says Proverbs 18 and 10, the name of the Lord is a strong tower, meaning that what? The Heavenly Father and his Son are what? Is a sure foundation, as like it says in if I'm not mistaken, Matthew the 7th chapter, where Yahushua said, he that hears these words and doeth them, I will liken him unto a wise man that built his foundation upon a rock. And that rock is who? Yahushua. So when you adhere to the words, when you adhere to the counsels, like when you read the beginning stages or like the beginning chapters of Proverbs, like when you read it, I think it's like the 3rd and 4th chapter where it says, hear my son, hear my wisdom, hear my son, hear my commandments. That's what? The commandments is the what? The advice that the scriptures give you. So when you hear to these things, what? You're hearing the counsel of your father, which is the Heavenly Father, but also the counsel of what? Our forefathers in the past as well. King Solomon, King David and such, and their stories that they went through. So when you adhere to these stories, what? You're hearing the counsel of your father. And when you hear the counsel of your father, what? It builds up your faith in the Heavenly Father, and what? That believing in these stories, what? Builds up that sure foundation, so that when you call upon the Heavenly Father, you see the stories that we went, when you read the stories in the past, what? That builds up your faith. And when that builds up your faith, so like I'm a little long-winded. But when that builds up your faith to be able to withstand, like the title goes into, the hard times that's going to come forth. So that's giving you a sure foundation for the times ahead. Salakia for being long-winded like that.
Hey, no, that's beautiful because actually, as you were speaking, the Spirit sparked me. Perfect precept for that is something that we all came into the truth with that kind of mindset, right? Isaiah chapter 55 and verse 6, and brothers who stand here with us now, we've been in this truth less than 10 years, but within those 10 years, we've seen so much lead to prophecy that has hastened, right? When you go back in 2016, you start to see Russia and America come into the forefront, right? With Trump and Putin. All right, we start to see that right after Obama left office. A lot of things start to pick up in the realm of prophecy geopolitically, right? This whole Ukraine shit, it really started popping off back in 2014. I remember that they had ISIS and all this shit in the news. All right, so we've been leading to prophecy all the way till now. But here, all right, this is a book of Isaiah chapter 55 and verse 6. It says, let me know if the wind is catching, the camera is catching the wind. All right, it's good?
Yeah, okay.
Gone, the water. All right, it says Isaiah chapter 55 and verse 6. It says, seek ye the Lord Yahweh while he may be found. Okay, so there's a time where the Lord is making himself available. Like it tells you in the book of Proverbs that wisdom crieth without, right? She is in the chief places of concourse, right? So the Lord is sending his men out there, as you can see, through the videos, constantly doing videos, okay, doing these videos constantly, man. It's like, yo, nonstop. You can't even keep up. That's the Lord calling. He's calling. He's putting his word out there. Right? Seek ye the Lord Yahweh while he may be found. Call ye upon him while he is near. Okay. How is the Lord near? By these prophecies. Everything that you're seeing, these prophets coming out here and teaching you these words, whether you believe it or not, at some point, it got to click in your mind and say, yo, wait a minute. Well, all right, you know what? Everything these men are saying is actually coming to pass exactly how they're saying it. We're starting to see the world shift into a more draconian form of living. We're starting to see and hear them talk about the things that they plan to do to the world, but yet people are so distracted by their everyday routine. Like you just get up and go to work and come back does not mean that the world is not changing behind you. Just because you can go to a party or go see your friend and plan vacations and do all these things does not mean you're going to always have the ability to do these things. Because guess what? The same very government that tells you, oh, it's free, you can go here, oh, you can travel, you can do this. They're planning heavy satanic shit behind closed doors. Okay, here it is. I just heard last week, I was doing some research. They saying that they so-called Vanessa and all the meats and shit, man. Kill Gates and all them niggas. Zuckerberg, Facebook and them dudes, they gathered a whole bunch of deer from the wild, Vanessa them, and then sent them out in the wild again. You see what I'm saying? So they can go infect the other animals out there. So when you see all those so-called zombie apocalypse movies and shows, how they got one animal that breaks out the lab and then it goes and affects other people and all that shit, they don't just come up with all these sick-ass ideas for nothing. It's something known as predictive programming. All right, so the Lord is also predictively programming, all right, the right-hand side people of the elect, okay, to what? To be prepared for the things that are going to be facing the earth very soon. So when these things are happening, we're not surprised. We're expecting these things to happen. We the ones that always say, yo, hey, this month could be it. Oh, this year could be it. Oh, because we're excited to see the hands of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua at work. Why? Because it only spells righteousness for the elect. That means that this place is going down and we're about to rule. We're about to take over. We're about to finally put this world back in righteousness, man. That is the desire. That is the goal. That is what excites us. You see, to see the Heavenly Father's words at work. You see what I'm saying? And that's the balance. You see, but the rest of the world, they don't care about that. The average person, you're not going to tell them, hey, are you seeking the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushua? You don't even waste your time doing that. Why? Because they're not going to listen. It ain't for them, period. All right? But you got it. Hey, you're mute. Unmute it.
Just another point to add into the point I made earlier about in Proverbs 18 and 10. This is Isaiah chapter 35, verse 3. It says, strengthen ye the weak hands and confirm the feeble knees. Say to them that are of a fearful heart, be strong, fear not. Now, how do we do that? When we have, like the brothers going to, when we do these videos constantly, and even this work when we come out here, we know the stories. We know the certain stories of how the Lord has delivered our fathers. We could bring with Abraham, those men when he went to fight those men from the 5 kings and all that. the Lord somehow delivered Jacob from Esau, because Jacob was still thinking Esau was angry about the blessing, which he was, because we see that today. We have Elijah. He fed him with bread and flesh through the ravens, and also through the woman, the widow woman. So we have many accounts, even more than that. The Lord fed us manna in the wilderness, and He also gave us quail. So there's many stories that we have to strengthen the feeble knees. It says, verse 4 again, it says, say to them that are of a fearful heart, be strong, fear not. Behold, your power will come with vengeance. Even the Most High with a recompense, He will come and save you. So just to add to the point, that's why the name of the Lord is a strong tower. Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai. And what? Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai's name has what? A reputation to it. His name has a reputation that comes with it. Just like in the time of when you read about after we left Egypt, what happened? Rahab the harlot say, look, we heard about you, what your God did, how He led you out of Egypt and all these things. And the men here, their hearts melted when they heard all these things that your God has done for you after He took you out of Egypt, and how you destroyed all the kings, if I'm not mistaken, Sihon and Og, if that's the name. So when all that happened, that reputation of the Heavenly Father His name is going to be magnified in these days, and what? That name also has a reputation, because you're seeing right now, Salak, I'm just going to say it, God and Jesus Christ, although we do know what our people mean when they ignorantly say that, but that name hasn't done nothing for you. I actually seen a picture before we started camp, how Salak for saying that name again, but it said Jesus dies on the cross, and underneath it has Christians, right? And it has a bunch of people picking up eggs. So the Lord dies for you, and this is what you do, you pick up eggs. Does that make any sense to you? That's how you honor the man? Then you have this guy, what's his name? The minister of wellness, saying that he's not going to eat lamb on the Passover. You're supposed to do that. You call yourself following the Lord. He says the other name, Yeshua or whatever, however that goes. You just got a whole bunch of nonsense about how people are not honoring the Lord, man, in this place. A bunch of fake people that think that they're doing the right thing, but they're not doing the things that the Lord said to do at all.
Well, guess what? The scriptures say that he was without blemish, right? He was a lamb without blemish. Now, in order to keep the Passover, it's not the Passover if you don't eat lamb, because the Passover, that's the specific ordinance. The Passover goes back to the book of Exodus, when we were delivered from Egypt, when the death angel passed over us and we were spared. That is the custom. That is the actual ritual of the Passover that you have to keep, and there's strict commandments on that. Now, according to the law, whoever doesn't keep the Passover is supposed to, not just that they went off, but they're supposed to be cut off. So how does it make sense that then the Messiah is roaming about? Yahushai, hold on one second. Yahushai was on the earth, 33 years? The Passover is every year. They make it seem as though the Passover was kept once in his lifetime during the account that we read. You think when he was a kid, his parents didn't have him, when he was of age, keep the Passover the right way? So what do you think they were doing at that point? Oh, well, because when you read in the gospel, it doesn't say that. So then it's not the Passover, and that means he went off every single year. So these people don't think
He'd have to be cut off, but can't be.
but he's the Messiah, though.
I believe it was actually the Passover when he turned 12. It was during the Passover feast that he went missing. Remember? So his parents were actually going to back to Jerusalem to go keep it, and that's where he went into the temple, and then they were looking for him for 3 days.
Yep.
So hey, he's been keeping it since he became of age. At the age of 12, he knew what he had to do. What did he say? My will is to do my meat is to do the will of my heavenly Father and to finish it. So part of it is to finish it. Was at the end when he became the ultimate Passover. What did he say? Lord, it is finished. Or Abba, Father, it is finished. You see? Well, you got it.
So the dude doesn't know what he's talking about, man. And that's the thing. A lot of people, they say all of these things, and their audience just like eats it up, and they don't actually think. Because when you read the scriptures, you gotta be able to look at what the scriptures are saying, but also understand context around what's happening. Okay, the scriptures is exactly the story. The scriptures are not static, meaning that it's not like just they took a still shot, and the only thing you see in the picture is, if you see a picture, right? If you see a picture of, I don't know, a group of people doing something in a particular area, that picture alone will tell you enough things based on what you're seeing. But the fact that you're looking at a picture also tells you another thing, right? It tells you that there had to be somebody who was a photographer there at the same time. Okay? And that's something that's not shown in the picture. But common sense tells you that oh, okay, there's a picture of these people. Who took the picture? Somebody had to have taken the picture. So that's what I mean when I say when you read the scriptures, there are certain things that you got to think about and say, it doesn't literally say this right here, but how else would this have happened? Oh well, it doesn't say that he picked up lamb and did this and then. Matter of fact, can we find the account where it says that the sop, it says he dipped whoever he dips the sop with, and then he gave it to Judas and whatnot. So on and so forth. So because it doesn't say that explicitly, that means he didn't do it, so I ain't gonna do it. Well, you know what? Hey, suit yourself, man. Don't do it. Don't eat lamb on the Passover. Don't do it. That's fine. We don't care.
But a lot of people, that's their whole thing with it. Because his thing, just like even I'll use an example, my father, their whole thing is with meat. And going back to Genesis, the Lord said he made herbs of the earth and things like that. And there's no, benefits to meat. It's like, listen, bro, get over the whole thing about, killing the animal and things like that. We had animal sacrifices and things like that. It was a part of our customs and things like that. It's like this whole, not killing the animal and things like that. Man, the Lord killed people. Get over it. The hell? Most High's not squeamish about shedding blood.
So all that bacon, egg, and cheese that they be eating, where the fuck they be getting animals from? These people never think about that. Don't they be killing those pigs that they be eating, dogging out? They go to a restaurant and then they order pig, pork, swine. Like, what about that part? So let's stop with the hypocrisy, man. Deal with the truth and that's it. All right?
Yeah. And first off, your body, the way the Most High made your body, there's certain things in animals that you need. Certain fats and vitamins and all of these, maybe not vitamins, but whatever, certain nutrients you need from animals. And that's why people can't go on a 100% vegan diet. They have to take certain supplements because they're trying to replace the things that they don't get from the animals with other means. And it's not going to work that way. Like you can try, but right now, because of the deterioration of the planet Earth, herbs alone will not sustain you. Even having a healthy diet in this society will not sustain you. Why do you think men in the ancient world were able to fast for longer? Because then you could maybe take an apple and bite into it, and it is full of 100% of all of its nutrients and benefits, and that can sustain you. Today, that is not like that. The scriptures tell you about what it took, what kind of men it took to gather grapes, because grapes are so big. And now look at how small a grape is. That a cluster of grapes, even an infant can, wiggle it up. So it tells you in the Apocrypha that the world shall become weaker through age. And if we are made of the earth, if the earth gets weaker, then of course we get weaker, we get smaller.
You also got to use account the air that we're breathing with the chemtrails. Then even Elder Yashwamba did that video a while ago with even the clothes, right. How the mixing of fabrics that messes up with our vibration. So all these things add to our bodies, being in that lower state.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Definitely.
You had asked for Matthew 26.
Oh, yeah.
So Matthew 26 and 20. Now when the even was come, he sat down with the 12.
Now I believe before that, he said, go and prepare the Passover. He commanded his disciples to go, and he told them where to go and what to do and what to tell the person when you went, right? That the master is basically ready, So what were they preparing? They were just getting the bread and then the wine, and that's it. That's what took all that preparation that they had to do.
And as they did eat, he said, verily, I say unto you that one of you shall betray me.
So what were they eating? If they were keeping the Passover, what were they eating? Because where do you go in the Bible to find out how to keep the Passover? You got to go to the Torah. Okay? You got to go to the book of Exodus. That's literally where the Lord, Exodus 12, the Lord gives you through Moses all the instructions on what you have to do. So if they were keeping the Passover, where was that ordinance? At the time of the New Testament, the New Testament wasn't written. Okay? The New Testament, the history, the Gospels, these came after. So at that time, Yahushua wasn't going to the book of Matthew to go and look in there. The book of Matthew is written about him. They were all referring back to what was written in the Old Testament, the law, the writings, the prophets, and that wasn't even broken up. First off, the Bible we have today, the Lord preserved the contents, but the structure that we have is much, much, much simpler. Back in the past, the reason they were scrolls, and there were so many scrolls, is because it wasn't even divided by verses. It wasn't even spaced out. It was just words, words written. Because imagine, say you're Baruch and you're scribing for Jeremiah. What's going to prompt you to say, oh, let me stop at every paragraph and stop and indent and give another space? That wasn't what was happening. They wrote down. It wasn't until I think around the 3rd or 4th century that they either separated it by basically like verses, and then later on, somewhere around maybe the 15th century or something, is when they had it, the whole chapter, verse, book separation. And I think that was by the Masoretes, because you have the whole Masoretic text, and these are people that saw that this would be more convenient for the larger audience. But that's why the Apostle Paul commended the Church of Berea, because to go and verify what the Apostle Paul said, if he's speaking to you and he says, as it is written, whoa, as it is written, or as saith the prophet, or as saith Isaiah the prophet, there's 53 chapters that we have today. But in the ancient world, you got to go find all them scrolls and read. And so if he's quoting Isaiah 43, how are you going to know Isaiah 43 if you don't read from all the way through to try and find that out? And that takes diligence. But there's also benefit to that. I got you. There's also benefit to that, because as you're reading to get to Isaiah 53 or 43, you may come across some other parts and whoa, what's this here? And then you may come back to, I was reading and I came across this part. What, can you expound on to me on this? Like the Ethiopian eunuch? You got it?
Yep. Hey, Isaiah 66 chapters. But, it's crazy because remember, during the times where Yahushua was, what they had, remember we're talking about it, their customs that they had, which was our custom, was all the Hebrew-born boys, you were mandated to learn one thing and one thing only, which was the Old Testament. So you had to know the law, you had to study the law, you had to know the prophets, and so on and so forth, right? So that's why they had something known as rabbis, all right? So what a rabbi was somebody who had studied the law. So that's why when Yahushua went into the church, into the temple, the synagogue, they were confounded because they're like, oh shit, who's this 12-year-old and he knows all this stuff? Like, how's he putting us on blast like this? How's he answering questions that we have for him? He's going into all kinds of different things, and they're like, "What? Oh, wait a minute, who's this guy?" But it wasn't a usual thing, all right, for a rabbi, all right, which Yahushua was also known as a rabbi because he was a master, okay, master of the law and so on and so forth. At 12 years old, he knew all these things, right? So when he started to call upon his disciples, normally they had a custom where the parents would send their children to the rabbi to go learn from the rabbi. For a prime example would be Paul and Gamaliel. Okay, so he would send them over, and then they'll teach them the law and the customs and the history, all of that.
Like an apprentice.
Huh?
Like an apprentice.
Exactly, like an apprentice, exactly. But in Yahushua's time, when he became the master, right? He was actually the one who was going around appointing his understudies, which were the disciples at that time. It wasn't the other way around where they'll go to him looking for, hey, Rabbi, we'd like to learn from you. No, he went in there random, just going around, you follow me, you follow me, you follow me. He taught him the word. So that was like, oh shit, this is different right here. That was because they were chosen. You see, they weren't just called, they were chosen. That's why he went in there specifically and chose them. It's the same thing with us in this day, right? When the Spirit jumps on us, we come into this truth, and what do? We like the scripture tells you in the book of Revelation that you open the door and he will sup with you, right? So when we open that door, which is the Spirit, you start tapping into things. You start clicking videos, you're watching videos. Now your mind starts opening up. Then you start questioning things. Then you start learning. You see, you start learning. That's the same thing that we're doing. You see, and then you get to a level where you start teaching. You become a rabbi in a sense. You see, so it's the same process. But I want to tie that in with real quick here. If you could bear me real fast. All right. The book of Hebrews chapter 5 and verse 12, and I'm gonna pass it. Okay, because again, like you were saying, the whole scripts were written in one shot. So how it has to take a spirit for you to actually understand the whole one shot, break it down and understand what it's talking about, like the Ethiopian eunuch, right? He said, how can I understand unless somebody teach me, right? So it's the book of Hebrews chapter 5 and verse 12. It says, for when for the time ye ought to be teachers, ye have need that one teach you again, which be the first principles of the oracles of the Most High, and are become such as have need of milk and not of strong meat. That's Everyone. Okay, when you first wake up to this truth, it's so beautiful. You just don't know where to start. You see, so somebody has to guide you, show you, hey, this is how this works. There's the breakdown to this. This is what this means. This is what that means. This is what's gonna happen. This prophecy means this. When you go back to the history, this what you see, and then you start learning, and then you start getting acclimated with how the spirit works in order for you to understand what the scriptures are actually talking about. If not, you're gonna be lost. You see, you're gonna be lost, and that's why a lot of these people don't understand the scriptures. It's very simple, but for them, it's too complicated. They can't get it. You see, but you guys, it's like going back to the Old Testament and not getting the chapters, breakdowns, the chapter broken down, the verses. They don't get it. They just see the book and it's just like, okay, what do I do? And then when we go into it, open to this chapter, it talks about this precept upon precept. They're like, oh, yo, that's crazy. That's because what the Spirit of the Lord is dealing. You know, but you got it.
That's it. Let's finish up on there.
Back in Matthew 26 and 21, and as they did eat, he said, verily I say unto you, that one of you shall betray me. And they were exceeding sorrowful, and began every one of them to say unto him, Lord, is it I?
So you can imagine how what a loss of an appetite that would be, right? As you eat and you hear something like that, and everybody's heart drops. Because now he's telling you one of you is going to betray me. You thinking, everybody's thinking that. Is it like, what do you mean? Like, is it me? That what's going to happen? Right? Go on.
If I may. That also shows the humility of his disciples, because they automatically didn't jump to blame each other. They considered if it was themselves. We're reading on. And he answered and said, he that dippeth his hand with me in the dish, the same shall betray me.
So what was that dish? Mr. What's his name? What Minister of Wellness? What was the dish? Was it some matzos and yayan? That's not a dish. So what was the dish? And he said dip, right? Put his hand in there with me. So answer the question. What was the dish? See, once again, they know so much until you go into the scriptures, and then the questions come out, and then it's like, well, I didn't see that part. Let's finish that verse. Yeah.
The Son of Man goeth as it is written of him, but woe unto that man by whom the Son of Man is betrayed.
Yeah, so that was an intense night. Okay, that was the point on that. But that was an intense night. Okay, imagine being there at that time, hearing these words from the Messiah. Because not only did they understand that yes, Yahushua is the Messiah, but he was there, like Aharon said, their master, their brother, like basically their spiritual father. So being with him with the way he is, there's a very interesting dynamic about austere people. Austere people, when you're not around them long enough, you just have that one perception of them as, man, this guy is just austere. But when you're around austere people long enough and you're able to get past the austerity of it, you start to actually see that it's usually these kinds of people that have the biggest hearts, that actually care. How many times have you seen maybe a movie or something, you come across somebody who is very like rough outwardly, but they'll be the kind of person that would actually sacrifice something for your sake, as opposed to the one who outwardly is so nice and yada yada, and when you need to count on them, they're not there. So the thing about sometimes, not all the time, but the thing about austere men is that there are gonna be those moments where they'll actually sincerely just talk to you, open up to you or whatever, and those moments are much more special because of their nature. So you mean to tell me that 3 years where Yahushua didn't have these moments? Of course they did. They broke bread, they journeyed, they had conversations, they went through different experiences. So they grew a very tight bond with not just a bond of just, with another regular individual, but with your master. And that's why to hear something like this would be very devastating. And everybody would be afraid at that point. So that night, and you can imagine how much more tumultuous it was in the minds of the disciples, because though Yahushua was dropping hints, it still was going over their head. They didn't actually know exactly what was going to happen that night. Judas did to some extent, but the rest of them, they're hearing Yahushua saying, yo, my time is coming. They must destroy this temple, but it'll be raised up in 3 days. And he's saying these things, and it's to them is like, okay, okay. But now they're seeing, damn, he's saying somebody's going to betray him. Then we all find out, oh, shoot, Judas did it. And then he leaves, and then soon we go into, to the garden, and then the Lord's praying, and all of a sudden the whole damn town comes out with armies and soldiers and all of that to come for the Lord. So imagine the heart racing. Some disciples are scared. They're like, yo, man, oh shit, like this is crazy. This is crazy. You know? So that was a crazy night.
I had a precept tying into the Passover, the actual lamb. This
Yep.
is from Luke 22:7. Then came the day of unleavened bread, when the Passover must be killed. So you don't kill unleavened bread. You don't kill bitter herbs.
Yeah.
You kill an actual lamb. You know, so that alone shows you that yes, they did have an actual lamb, and they killed it, and they ate it. You know, and it says, and he sent Peter and John, saying, "Go and prepare us the Passover, that we may eat." So there it is.
Yeah. So guess what? Hey, look, you don't want to eat the lamb? That's fine. Maybe in the time of famine, you might end up in a position where you come across us and we may only have lamb. And we'll tell you, well, we can't give you some because you don't eat lamb. You don't want to eat it, then you ain't gonna eat it now. You ain't gonna eat anything now. But let's get that since we're talking about that. So going back to the main point, which is that with everything that we've been warning about, like Aharon was mentioning, now it's being mentioned not really from us anymore. It's almost like our voices are falling secondary to now the world, to where the culprits themselves are telling you, yes, these are our plans. Because I read this somewhere, which I forgot where exactly it was, but I know you've mentioned it, that these elites, when they delve into their real Satanist aspect of things, the goal of true like deception is not to trick you. The goal of true deception is for you to know they actually have to reveal to you what they're gonna do, and you still have to do it anyway. And that is really, I think that's a part of like their either their laws or their requirements or whatever a part of the ritual is. Whoever it is, your victims have to be aware, like they gotta know. And that's why they do the predictive programming and they put this thing here and there to show you, hey, look at the Purge. Look at these demic movies. Look at all of this. This is what we're about to do to you. Okay? And then people still fall for it. And then they do it. And it works.
All right. That is part of the it goes back to the Babylonian custom actually, where they give you that cup to drink. All right. So you're kind of like in a trance before you engage in the wicked philosophies, the mystery of iniquity, I call it, you know. But that's the same thing. It's the same shit that you see today. You know, we're telling you all the evils that's surrounding you. We're telling you what's gonna happen, but yet you're still reveling like ain't nothing going on. That's a high level witchcraft. That somebody could come on TV and tell you, oh, take this potion, and it's supposed to be safe and effective. But 10 years before this time, I came out on TV live on a podcast and told you, TED Talk, and told you that, hey, this is how we're gonna depopulate the earth, you know, by doing exactly what we're doing now, but telling you that it works. It's perfectly fine. Don't worry about it. Oh, you can't sue us if something bad happens to you, but go ahead and do it anyway. You know, we know it doesn't work. It's not 90%. It's not 100%. It's really not going to do anything, but go ahead and take it anyway. Like them dudes that sold out from what's that camp?
ISUPK?
Yeah, ISUPK, them dudes. That same shit. You know,
Take it anyway.
we know we know the so-called white man's the devil, but go ahead and take it anyway. It's just oh, what the fuck? That's witchcraft, bro. You know, but that's what the Book of Revelation tells you. It says what the sorceries. When you go to that word sorceries, is what pharmakia, which is witchcraft. So they're using the whole pharmaceutical industry, so-called big pharma, is a whole coven of witches and warlocks. You know, medical this and medical that, medical this and it's all creating a whole. Do you see what's going on around the world? Do you see what's going on in Babylon right now? People dropping dead left and right. Nobody talking about it. That's complete witchcraft, man. You know, that you see evil in front of you and you call it good. It's
Right.
safe and effective, but yet people dying. But it's still safe and effective. Go ahead and take it. Get your booster.
That's it. That's it. It's killing them safely.
That's it.
Yeah, that reminded me of things being hidden in plain sight. And they put it in movies, they put it in the form of comedy a lot of the time. And when the brothers mentioned that, it sparked my mind to remember I saw the Mario movie like a couple of days ago with my seed, right? And you think, all right, this is like a kid's movie, whatever, but they was actually putting like, they had, if I ruin the movie for you, Salaki, it's a children's movie, but I don't think anybody's really waiting on it, but they had the missiles in the movie. Yeah, ICBM in the movie. And then at the end of the movie, right, a star comes up, right? You know, they got the stars in Mario, whatever. The star comes up and it has a child's voice, but it says basically, and it's basically speaking to the people in the audience. And the star says, the only thing left before you is the endless void. And it's like people are laughing because they kind of made it like comedic because the star was always like pessimistic in the movie. But basically, that's what the elites were telling them, like telling the people that is what you have to look forward to, the void. So when I'm watching it, I'm like, oh, these people have no idea. But really, that's the left hand. The Lord really telling them through the left hand what's about to happen.
That's a good point. Yeah. All right, let's get that. Let's get that in Kings, because that, see, what we're about to read was a reality back then, and is about to be an even worse reality in this time.
All right, this is 2 Kings chapter 6 and 24. And it came to pass after this that Ben-Hadad, king of Syria, gathered all his host.
I think the son of Hadad, Bun, should be Bun-Hadad. Could be. I could be wrong. Go ahead.
And went up and besieged Samaria. And there was a great famine in Samaria.
Why? Because there was a siege. And what happens during the siege? You cut off supplies and resources in and out of this area. So when the Syrians besieged Samaria, they cut off all supplies coming in or out. Go on. So there was a famine because eventually they ran out of resources and there was nothing new that was coming in. Go ahead.
And behold, they besieged it until an ass's head was sold for fourscore pieces of silver.
So what's an ass? Today they will call it a donkey. So an ass's head was sold for 4 score. 4 score is 80. That's a score is 20. 4 times 20 is 80. So 80 pieces of silver was how much an ass's head was going for. I don't know the ancient currencies like that, but maybe you could have bought a whole ass alive for less than that. Okay, but I don't know, maybe. But the point is, I mean, the price of things was going up. Okay, because resources were getting scarce because of the siege, and that's what they're doing now in today's time. They're laying a world siege, and people don't see it because a lot of people. What is the fastest way to repeat history? Be ignorant of it. So a lot of people don't know what has happened in the past, and so they keep falling into the same mistakes over and over again, and they cannot recognize the signs. But if you understood, what are these elites doing? They know that the current people don't study history, so they can go back and take the same tactics that they've used over and over and over again, and then they bring it here. It's like the reverse of insanity, right? If insanity is doing the same thing over again, and you're getting the same results, but you're expecting different ones, then the reverse would be, well, I can do the same thing over and over and over again, so long as it keeps working. Wouldn't that be sanity? So that's what these elites do. They say, well, we can use the same tricks, maybe customize it a little bit, but use the same tricks on them because they're going to keep falling for it. Because they don't actually go back and see what these tricks actually are. Where did they come from? People don't understand war tactics. They don't understand how a siege works. So what do these elites do? Okay, well, let's start doing that. Let's start cutting off the supplies. Let's start bottling up the supply chain. Let's start cutting this off here, cutting that off here. Go on.
Yeah, because the average person doesn't even know that they're at war. That's the problem. You know,
Yep.
They don't think that there's something actually going on. They just think, oh, TV, and that's it. Like, nigga, that's the shit. It's like, yo, they about to get fucked up so bad, and you're gonna see people that you work with, people that you see regularly, and they're gonna be the most affected by it because of how they're going to react. You see what I'm saying? If let's say we go to the bank and then we see some shit happen, some funny ass shit, maybe there's a whole line of people who are up there at the same time looking to pull their money out. We know, okay, well, shit, let me see. Let me pull out my GPS and see what is the furthest branch from this place that might not have been affected right now. Let's drive straight to there and then go get our money from there, because we know at least these niggas haven't hit that place yet. But the regular person, they're going to join in because everybody's there. They're going to be there too. Let me see what's going on over here. Let me see what's going on over there. And then that's how they're going to get got. You see, you're going to have mad people in lines, cars honking. Imagine gas. Very soon, you're not going to be able to get gas to buy. All of a sudden, it's going to be like, oh, shit, there's no more gas. We're not talking about, oh, $10 a gallon or $20 a gallon. No, there's like out of service. And then there might be one gas pump that's paying, you have to pay $30 for a gallon. And you're going to have long lines of people hoping that you can get some gas over there when it's your turn. You're going to have people shooting each other, fighting each other. You know, the other day, you know, I'm in the car. driving to go get some. I think I was going to ATM or something, and you see two cars, right? One on the right hand side and one on the left hand side. They were both turning right. It's two women, and one of them honked at each other, right? And it became a whole thing. I mean, we're talking speed up, slow down, curse each other out, speed up, slow up. Like that's all you kept seeing, you know. And I'm like, yo, what the fuck? Like, they really about to get into a fight over here? And that's all you see nowadays is that tension. So when you couple the tension that's already built up with a whole bunch of inconvenience that was not foreseen by these people, that's where you're going to see the second Ezra 16 come in. That's when you're going to see second Ezra the 15th chapter come in, where there's sedition among men. You know, what's going on in France, Paris, all these different places. That's when you're going to see that over here, but on a whole nother level, because Americans are fucking evil as hell by default. You know, they don't have that consciousness like these other people in Europe and Africa and so on and so forth. You know, the feeling of hospitability, that's not something that's known here in America, man. You know, people don't even say, oh, God bless you no more. They say, bless you. Like, they don't even say, they don't have that, you know, warmth to themselves. Everything is I, me. You know, if I don't get it now, then I'm going to destroy everybody. That's the mindset. So you could see how easy it will be to crumble this place. Within weeks, this place will be unrecognizable. You see what I'm saying? When these truck drivers are going on strike, the train people are going on strike, the garbage people are going on strike, and it's just all at once. Do you know how quick this system will collapse? Do you know how many people are going to die within days? You know how many women are going to get fucked up within hours? Do you know how this country is going to go above and beyond into some type of destructive sense within hours, within days? Like, everything is just going to happen just like that, quick. You see, and we see it happening. We see it happening. So when the first thing goes down, we already know, yo, it's going to affect this, it's going to affect that, and that's going to affect that. We already know because we're the prophets of the Lord. We understand the prophecies. But who doesn't understand the prophecies? Those who need to understand it, the 2/3 of our people, they don't get it, and they're going to get fucked up the most, man. You see what I'm saying? But you got it.
That's it. You want? That famine is a painful. It tells you in Lamentations, right? That they that die of the sword are better than they that be slain with hunger. Famine is a painful way to die, and yet a lot of people are going to suffer by it. That's second Ezra the 16th chapter tells you that. Oh, let's get that out to you now, Isaiah first, and then let's get this in the book. Yeah.
Before we bring brother wants Isaiah chapter 33 verse 6, I'm gonna bring up this precept first to back it up. This is I'm gonna break it down.
Yeah.
It says 2 Timothy chapter 15, right? No, 2 Timothy chapter 3 verse 15. And that from a child thou hast known the holy scriptures, which are able to make thee wise unto salvation through faith which is in Yahweh Shai. So how are we going to be able to how are we wise unto salvation? Why? How are we wise in tongue twister my word, How are we wise unto salvation? Because we know the scriptures, we know the prophecies and things like that. Like the brother Aharon was saying, we are the prophets. And what prophets know the scriptures? If I'm not mistaken, is that Amos 3:7? Surely the Lord God will do nothing but he reveal his secrets unto his servants, the prophets. So knowing those prophecies, it makes us wise unto salvation, because that's what we're looking for. We're looking for salvation, because we know this current kingdom, this is the end of this place. This place is going down. Like Elder Apostle Gabar always mentions, circling the drain. So we're looking for salvation, but people in the world, they're not looking for salvation. Their minds are tied to this place. So what's going to be just to back up this precept, making us wise unto salvation. This is Isaiah chapter 33 and verse 6. And wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times, and strength of salvation. The fear of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua is a treasure. So knowing the prophecies, knowing the scriptures, getting into these things is what's going to keep the elect, Lord's when we are a part of that, stable in these times. This is what's going to make them wise unto salvation. Looking like it says, if I'm not mistaken, is that Philippians? I press toward the mark of Yahushua.
I don't remember exactly where it is, but I know what precept it is.
Yeah, but people in the world, they're not looking for these things, so they're not going to be wise into salvation. They're going to be be destroyed. But the elect, they're going to be wise into salvation, because why? They know the scriptures, and they have the wisdom, knowledge, understand the scriptures to be able to maneuver in these times.
Hey, you could get Proverbs, the 1st chapter, the 7th verse, real quick, because you mentioned something in Isaiah 33 and 6 about wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times, and the strength of salvation. The fear of the Lord is his treasure, right? So when you go into Proverbs, the 1st chapter, if a brother could pull that up real quick,
I got it. This is Proverbs 1:7. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge,
Mhm.
but fools despise wisdom and instruction.
Right. So the beginning of knowledge is the same thing as with wisdom, because when you get knowledge, that means to know something, right? But it's coupled with one thing, so another thing else, which is what the Spirit of the Lord, which brings the understanding of that knowledge that you have. Hence, you have wisdom. So that treasure comes from the fear of the Lord, right? That's what results in ultimately the third concept that you really need, which is that wisdom. You see, so when you fear the Lord, it will bring you that knowledge, it will bring you that understanding, it will bring you that wisdom. You see, and that's what's going to keep you stable in these times that we're coming in, man. A lot of people don't have that one ingredient, which is the fear of the Lord. Why? Because they don't even know the Lord. The average person thinks that the Most High is like this sweet, teddy bear, white, old, soggy-looking man sitting someplace that just doesn't factor into their daily lives. That means you're very short-sighted if you think like that. The very definition of knowledge simply means to know that there is a superior being. When you actually go into the definition of knowledge, it means to acknowledge the existence of a superior being. So once you do that, that's your first step. And then it comes with the understanding, and then ultimately you get that wisdom. And that's what's going to keep people in these times. Wisdom is what? A proper application of what? Knowledge and understanding. Okay? So you have all these things, which is what the scriptures gives us. Why don't people incorporate these things? Why? Because they don't have that one other ingredient, which is what? The Spirit of the Lord. They don't got that. And that's a gift that the Lord will only send to his elect. You see, so we're very special in a very special group of people, man. Our ancient forefathers said the same things that we're saying. They believed on the same power that we're believing in. And they got the same results that we're about to get very soon, Lord willing. You know what I'm saying? Which is what? Salvation, man. So, hey, we got a lot to look forward to, man. But you got it.
That makes you wise to salvation. And the people, they're not wise because what? They're not looking for salvation. Their minds are entangled in this world. What did Apostle Paul tell Timothy? Be not entangled with this world. Roughly paraphrase. I know I'm butchering. But basically being a soldier, what? Being a soldier meaning solitary. Having one mind, one focus. And a soldier, his job is to what? Serve his master, or serve his general. And what? Who is our master? Who's our general? Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. And what's the mission? The mission is what? To learn these scriptures, to go out and feed the sheep, eat this roll, and then what? Lord's will, we be a part of that elect and be delivered. But the people in the world, they have a totally another mindset. What's their mindset? I gotta chase the bag. I gotta go get this house, get this whatever it is they're looking for in this world. I believe Elder Itasman did a video last night. The title of the video was we need to talk about finances. No, you need to repent, because that's something that about people. They always want to talk about finances, money, and this. I have a saying that I like to say: money only means something to people that money only means something to people that don't have it, and that's our people. The reason why people are so money crazy is because they don't have money. You look at so-called white people; they don't give a shit about money. Why? Because they have it. It's not a care for them. But for our people, because we're under the curses, that's why we have such an affinity for money, because we think in our minds, even though for some reason our people are not even good with money, for some reason in their minds they think that if they have money, that will end all their problems. But it's not. It's a mindset that we have to change. Yep.
He says, that's right, man, because they deceive us. They deceive even the wicked ones. They want us to believe that that's the only answer. But quick precept, this is Proverbs chapter 22, verse 3. A prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. Right, so we hide ourselves in this bird, and we believe we hide ourselves in the spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. Simple ones, they believe that money can answer the whole problem. We got people who go in high level job fields, and you can't tell them nothing. But a lot of us, we struggle with borderline basic, minimum wage jobs, but we have the riches that's more abundant than this, of the physical wealth of this world.
I got another follower. Proverbs 23:5. Wilt thou set thine eyes upon that which is not? For riches certainly make themselves wings. They fly away as an eagle toward heaven. And it reminds me of what the Lord said, that basically that he gave forth the parable. There was a man that had great riches, and he had set forth like his basically his house, and then he wanted to bestow another place to put more of his riches because he had so much of an abundance. But then he didn't consider that the Lord could take you that day. So what is more important, the riches or serving the Lord? Serving the Lord is most important. Our forefather Solomon, before he went off, he was in his right mind, he asked for wisdom. And before all the other things he got, the wisdom came first. And then other things. We're royalty, we like nice things, but our people, they're like obsessed with that. And they're neglecting the most important things, which is the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, and the Son Yahweh Shai, and the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that's been given.
So there's actually, I think it might be a brother of the Lord. It says, Belgium, same chapter. I think it's verse 2 right there.
Oh, yep. Proverbs 23:2 and
No, 3%.
I got you. Proverbs 23:1. When thou sittest to eat with a ruler, consider diligently what is before thee, and put a knife to thy throat if thou be a man given to appetite.
Right. And what's the appetite? What your desires, right? Because what is food? Food is what nourishes your body. So the appetite is what your desires and things like that, things that you want. But what our people don't put it, basically it's allegorical speak for basically, putting the knife to your neck. It's like, yo, chill out, watch yourself.
Control yourself.
Yeah. Have some some discipline about yourself, something that our people don't have. So if you be a man of appetite, basically watch yourself. Our people don't watch their appetite, which is slack.
Very good.
Oh, okay. Slack. Basically, watch yourself, man. Keep yourself. Don't get too indulgent in things of the world, because what you'll overindulge, and then what? You'll just get obsessed with these things. It's never enough for your people. That's why they always want to chase more money, chase the better job and things like that. But for us, what? We watch our appetite because we know what? Like the scripture saying, 2 Peter chapter 3, knowing all these things are supposed to happen, what manner of man you ought to be with all holiness and conversation. So if you know these things are going to happen, watch your appetite. Watch what you indulge yourself in, because you don't want to get caught up like the other people are going to get caught up.
Yeah, that's it. Now I was just imagining Jake, because you got some Jake that are like uncultured. So when they get to the table, they don't know how to
Right. They just,
they're like Goku at the table and shit. Like before I was saying this last night in my lesson. You got certain dudes before the plate even touched the table, they already reaching and dipping their fingers in the shit. Pass me that. Can I go eat that? You know what I'm saying? Like,
actually, no, you're right. Because I remember going to all you can eat buffets, and Jake would just, and it's like, damn, like relax, chill.
Hey,
Just
like that annoying ass little nigga that be doing the food shit, where he takes the food and he be wilding, he be doing the stupid sounds. Yo, niggas like that, the most I put you to death. You piss the load off like that. You know what I'm saying? You so uncultured. Yo, shy go send that death age. Hey, but see, a nigga like that, you see him starving, it's gonna be a beautiful sight. A nigga like that, you see in them last days, man, you want to stomp his ass out because he's annoying already. You know what I'm saying? The other family that the food comes in. What's that? What did we say? Oh, daddy. Oh, food. Oh, that annoying shit they be doing. Oh my god, bro. Yo, a lot of people gonna get put to death, man.
yeah, because they're like gluttons. See, like there's a saying that says, "Eat to live, don't live to eat."
Right.
And a lot of people, they live to eat.
Mm-hmm.
There's like that's also one aspect of this society. People go to sleep with a smile on their face, because in their mind, they're thinking there's so much tasty food out there. Like I could go to sleep knowing I could wake up tomorrow and eat some more of this shit, and it just won't need to stop. But a lot of them in that, they become gluttons, to where they're not hungry or they're full, but if the buffet bowl is still going, then they gotta be there. And they have those perfect example. You look at those eating competitions where they make eating look absolutely disgusting. If it's like a hot dog eating contest, where they're not even trying to eat the food, they're just like mashing it into their mouth, trying to chug it down with like soda, and it just looks absolutely disgusting. He ain't even supposed to eat like that. Dudes like that. Imagine if you're the Most High looking at a dude like that. And I'm sure you had dudes like that in the wilderness.
Yep.
Talking about they want some quail, and they stuff in their mouth, nose, and ears with the shit.
Mm-hmm.
Completely. And you probably had some Jake in there who got it and they didn't even thank the Lord. They didn't even pray. They just dug right into it.
That's why.
Yeah.
Yeah, people like that, the Lord don't bring around his circle, man, because when the Lord said eat the whole roll, these niggas gonna eat the whole damn, you go eat the whole thing, finish the whole plate. Be like, yo, bro, there's
Had the book
portions,
mark.
bro. The fuck,
That's it.
out of order, man.
Completely, man. Oh, I had the precept that you wanted, right? Redeeming the times. Oh, did you finish? Did I share you finish on that? Or you gonna say?
I was going to get something. So
Nah, go ahead, go ahead.
but yeah, you can go ahead and grab that. I'm still looking for it.
Okay, okay, yeah, yeah, man. But that's the thing. It's like most of you ain't gonna see Moab doing this. You're not gonna see Elam doing this. You know, like at most you'll see them trying to imitate what Jake does when it comes to this folly and this stupidity. But that's why we are like there's so many proverbs and bywords about Israelites because of the way that they move. And a lot of them genuinely are just uncultured. Like they don't know how to be well mannered. They don't know that. So it's very difficult for them. You know, no matter how hard they try, they were never taught. And it's hard to try and learn these things as an adult, you know. But it's sad because when you look at where we used to be, we were created to be the example for these nations to follow. And now it's literally the complete opposite, to where even the basis of men is now teaching you how to be mannered, how to conduct yourself, for lack of a better word. And they look to Esau as though he is the founder of all things. You know, like damn, I mean, you do it good, but you can't do it like the white man does it, like that Uncle Ruckus spirit.
Sirach 31:16. Eat as it becometh a man. Those things which are set before thee, and devour not, lest thou be hated.
That's it.
Yeah, leave off first for manners' sake, and be not unsatiable, lest thou offend.
Yeah, because look, listen, man, you go to somebody's house and you got an unsatiable appetite. I'm gonna tell you this: you're not coming back the second time. You could come the first time, and once they find out that about you, then you might need to fall back a couple. You might just hear excuses the next time, because here it is: you come to somebody's house, inflation is already driving prices through the roof, and you empty out their whole fridge. And meanwhile, they just did grocery shopping the day before. You know, people need to learn how to read the atmosphere. Sometimes somebody may ask you, "Oh, is that enough?" And you're supposed to say yes. You're not supposed to say no to that. But you got Jake that will say, "Nah, is that nah? You just add a bit more to that. Just give me the." And they just take the ladder out your hand and they just start scooping the shit in there. And before you know it, they finish the whole shit. And here it is. You're looking at like from Everybody Hates Chris when Julius, well, his brother Big Mike or whatever, Big Bird, he came over. And this dude he's just a complete demon. The nigga does nothing, sleeps in the couch. He sits in the head of the house's seat, eats his chicken. You know what I'm saying? Like cracking jokes with his wife. I mean, he's just doing all the wrong things. And that's Jake, right? If you go to especially if you go to somebody's house or some occasion that you're invited to, remember that you're there to represent yourself and whoever it is that you're known to be with. So if you go there and you know you're not well mannered, you're doing too much, you know, you're drawing attention to yourself, that's not going to be a good reputation. And it says, lest thou be hated or something.
Lest thou be hated.
Lest thou be hated. And they might not openly tell you, but in their minds they're gonna think it. Even the nicest person in their mind, they're gonna think, yeah, this nigga eat. You know, like, nah, we're not bringing him in here no more. Yeah, we're not bringing him here no more.
Put all in the fridge. You know, all up in your fridge, all up in your pantry. He don't even ask permission. He just opening shit up. That's a trademark of a nigga.
Yep.
Being extremely inconsiderate. Like, all right, well, I'm here, fuck it, man. You know, like the Eddie Rick James, fuck your couch spirit.
Oh yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
But
That's a when you go to the definition of a niggard, that's exactly what a niggard is.
right.
You know, somebody who's not, you know, they don't control their appetites. They don't control themselves either. And that's an outward version of their character, of who they really are. You know, they're inconsiderate. You know, they're very selfish, right? They don't care about anything else. Like you said, they can't read the atmosphere. People like that, you can't bring them around anything that's important, especially this truth. You know what I'm saying? They're not in order. You know, they'll come in and they always last to get there, but they want to be the first to get the food. Like, yo, bro, hold on, bro. There's order. Relax. Take your time. You know, take what's sufficient for you, bro. Understand that there's other people around. You got to be considerate, man. You know, you don't gotta come here to fill your belly. You know what I'm saying? Go home and eat. You know, here's more like a convention. You know, we all come together. It's a peaceful kind of vibe. You know, some people don't understand that they don't understand that logic, nor that understanding of law when it comes to, you know, being in a social place. You know, people like that, hey, the Most High just weed your ass out, man. You're out of order. You
Yeah.
know, but
Hey,
you gotta-
in the book of Manners and Customs, they go through the ancient way in which how we used to the ancient way we used to conduct ourselves, right? And like you were mentioning, how you raise up your children, you teach, and it really starts at home. Whenever your child is in, look, man, look at some of these Moabites. You know, for example, how they raise their kids. They are very strict because when their children grow up, they're very polite. They say please, they say thank you. You know, they're well mannered. They don't just wild out because they've been trained and brought up in the right way as a child. So when they grow up, they don't depart from it, and then they instill that in their children. And then next thing you know, you have a generation of those that are disciplined and they move in a certain direction. As opposed to, like the brother said, somebody that's out of order, you know, and I mean, nobody taught them any discipline. So they just grew up. That's the only thing that they knew. They don't have it. I got you. They don't have any form of discipline. Now, like you mentioned, there's always order. And you have certain people that you can't take somewhere because their natural self is out. They don't know how to restrain themselves and say, hey, I'm not in just my house where I could just do whatever. You know, I need to conduct myself. I need to, you know, let me not be the loudest guy in the room. You know what I mean? Like, here it is, we at a restaurant. Let me not be the guy, you know, hey, what's up, man? You know what I'm saying? Like, moving shit off the table. Like, there are people like that. You know, and you don't want to be that guy because now everybody at the restaurant looking at you. You know, now I gotta move my seat a bit and act like I'm lost or some shit. You know what I mean? I was messing with you, man. But these are things that you gotta know how to control about yourself. You know?
So Rock
Hey,
31 and
Salakia,
18.
real
When
quick, Salakia, I got you, brother. And that's like you said, that's a beautiful point because that is also a form of intelligence. You know, that's something known as discernment, right? Discernment means being able to tell the difference between right and wrong and how to conduct yourself, social cues, right? And that's what this truth teaches you. What we're reading, what the brother's about to read right now is a form of discernment. Being able to use intelligence where you're at and how to move where you're at. Things to say, things not to say. You know what I'm saying? One of the biggest form of power is knowing what to do and knowing how to do it. And also knowing not to do something. You know what I'm saying? That's also a form of power. And that's what this truth teaches you. You know, it's not about, oh, I know this word and that's it. Well, you got to practice these things. You got to put it into practice. Being with the mind of a superior man, being in this truth, that's what it brings. You see, always trying to strive for perfection. Your house is looking at you like, yo, like, why is this brother like this? What's his issue? What's his problem? You know, why are you bringing this worldly ass nigger shit into this truth? What's up? You got to change. You got to be a new man. You know, that means what? As constantly self-evaluating. You know, going into books. Brothers got to take time and read some of these books, man. These philosophical books is not just only scriptures. The scriptures give you the spiritual understanding of things, the way to be the superior man. But you also got to cultivate yourself. There are certain basic practices that you could incorporate in your life that will make you tremendous, you know, in all aspects. You know, and that's what you want to be. You want to be as perfect as possible. You know what I'm saying? And that's what self-improvement. No, you don't got to wait for another brother to come and tell you, yo, bro, do this or do that. Yo, you should be paying attention to this more. No, you got to stop and be like, yo, hold on. You know, how should I take this? If your house was here right now, what would he say if he heard me say this? Or if he saw me doing this? How would he take it? Like, you know, that's the mindset. Whether there's somebody there or not, think of this. Yo, your house is watching right now. If he was to pull up on me right now, shit. You know what I'm saying? How would this interaction go? Would I be nervous or would I be comfortable? Right? Or let's say some shit was to go down right now. My past 10 days that I've been living, if I was to catch some hell, would I be comfortable going to the Lord to ask for some type of mercy so he could get me out of this or not? That's how you self-evaluate. Yo, I better be on track. I better be on point. And that's with what? Like King David said, let the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Yahweh, my strength and my redeemer. That's the mindset every single day. What am I doing and how can I get better? What am I doing? How can I get better? Because guess what? Your conduct, other people are watching. You know, a lot of people watch us on YouTube. They actually pick what we're saying up and they take it to heart. So you can't be just doing all whatever. You got to set a better example, you know, and it starts from within. You know,
Yeah.
but you got it, brother.
Can't give him all the secrets now, brother. Got to give him a little bit, just a little bit. Hey, but remember, Yahushua is not just in the spirit world. Just it's every 2 seconds, he just, no matter what you do, he's just trying to make you look good to the Father. Yahushua has power to bring judgment on your ass. Remember that all that was committed onto him. So if you need to be straightened out, Yahushua, so automatically we think, oh damn Lord, why you do this? But there's certain things that Yahushua says, nah, get on this nigga's ass. You know what I mean? Like you gotta do something to him. And I remember when I was younger, because we often used to go to the same school. Not often, all the time. So and I remember that there would be sometimes, because kids and shit, where I'll be in essence, I'll be harassing the chicks and shit. But he was obviously my older brother in the upper class, and the school was divided to where you had like the lower classes on one side, the upper classes on the other side. So I'll get out of class early, and I'll go onto his side to wait for him. Meanwhile, I'm going around classes harassing the chicks over there, and they always be like, like, stop, leave me alone type shit. But you a kid, you like, what you mean leave me alone? Get out of here with that shit. And then they were like, whenever they would say, I'm gonna tell your brother, or I'm gonna go call your brother, see that's the red button. Then everybody chill. All right, let's calm down. We don't need to do all that. All right, we don't need to do all that. Because immediately I'm gonna think, damn, he's gonna get on me. Or even worse, he might tell our pops. I'm gonna get in trouble either way. So whenever they pull that card of, I'm gonna tell your brother, or whatever, or they mention his name, I'm all right, that's it. Ain't no need to do that. Let's calm down, and I step back. So just like you were saying, whenever you do something, think about it. If Yahushua, with knowing how Yahushua is, right? If he was here right now, if I was doing some stupid shit and he walked behind me and I didn't see him, and he just stood there, our pops would do this all the time. If he caught you doing something stupid, he wouldn't say a word. He would just stand there and watch you. And he might watch you for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, just doing straight folly. And then you turn around and see him, and at that point, it's just like you seen a ghost. Because in your mind, you're like, oh, the one person I hope would not see this just saw it, and I don't even know how long you were there seeing my folly. Yeah, exactly. So you got to think about that. Damn, if the Lord walked in on me right now, like what do you even have to say? Do you even say anything? And then this will keep you in check. You know what? Let me stay away from this, because I don't want it. I don't want to even risk it. You always got to check yourself. Because if you don't check yourself, the Lord's gonna send somebody or something to check you.
Right? Then she'll come back and apologize. I ain't have to correct her. It's just that when you mention your Yahushua name, it's like, damn, he did see me do that. I was wrong. You want to correct yourself.
Yeah, and I just want to add the last point on the whole, having class. This is why I said you could pay for school, but you can't buy class. So class is something that really has to be instilled over time. It has to be learned behavior. It's not something you just wake up one day, I'm gonna be a classy individual. Even when you deal with certain heathens, you can tell that they have a certain level of maybe class towards you, and you will reciprocate it. Right? The scriptures say to live peaceably with all men. So then we ain't another part of having class. We're not over here banging on heathens. Yeah, let's go. I'm trying to scrap. I'm trying to, like that's a mindset of a nigga. That's why the Lord don't bring a lot of them. Bring the masses of our people into this faith, because they don't know how to conduct themselves with class. Yahushua already got the victory. We don't need to, overly try to prove anything. Right? The Lord is going to make it manifest very soon, man.
Yeah. Hey, most of the time when you see like groups, if it's like a well-established group with a good leader, most of the time the strongest ones are the most quiet, most chill. You don't hear them. They're just there, and it's hard to tell. You see that all the time, because those that are really, really wise, or those that are really, I guess, just strong or powerful, they don't need to outwardly come and show, I'm this. That's for people who have that emptiness, and they need to fill that with some persona, of like, yeah, rah, this is me. Like, I'm this, I'm that, all that and the third. But for somebody that already knows, so what? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't need to show you anything, When the time comes to do what they have to do, then they will. That's why Yahushua didn't go around saying, look at me, let me call down fire from heaven. Now, hold up, let me show you how it's done. And, just because I could do it. But Jake today think that, you know, because I can do something, I'm gonna do it. You know, like if I'm on the train, I want to talk about how I beat some innocent dude up, because that way people around me would think like I'm some tough guy. You know, he looked at me where I'm like, so what's up, nigga? Like, I'll lay your ass, like, as if that makes you look like, oh wow, he's such an amazingly strong guy. Like, bro, it just makes you look like another nigga, bro. You know.
That's right.
But,
Right. And another thing too, I was gonna say, dealing with the journey that we're on, like you want to be focused on the walk, the pace, not just the destination. Because the destination, we all want to get to the kingdom. We all want to have the crown of life. We all want the dominion. We all want to be joint heirs with Yahweh Shai. But those that are going to get there are those that love the walk as well. Love the walk of getting to the kingdom, not just, oh, I want the glory, I want the riches, I want the power. But ultimately, those that are going to get there are those that find and love the walk, the journey itself, because that's where there's a reason the Lord is having us go through this. We're not just going to fast track to the kingdom. Why? Because the Lord wants us to learn things, man. Learn things about ourselves, learn of our weaknesses, learn of our strengths, learn how to cut off our weaknesses. You know, this is not just meaningless, man. You know, there's a purpose behind everything the Lord does. But I had this last verse.
I just want to make a quick statement. Pastor said this is not a sprint, it's a marathon. You know, a good fighter knows how to last a whole 13, 12 rounds or whatever. You know, we just not in this, like you said, to get to this destination. It's a whole process of enduring. You know, we pace ourselves. That's it.
So I think I'll run that side and then you bring a preset. Oh, okay. You can bring a preset.
Yeah, Sirach 31, just closing in on that. Sirach 31 and 18. When thou sittest among many, reach not thine hand out first of all. A very little is sufficient for a man well nurtured, and he fetcheth not his wind short upon his bed.
That's it. Don't be that first one to you know, if you all sit down, especially if you have elders among you. You know, it's respect. You know, if you reach for anything, let it be to serve, just like Yahweh Shai did, right? You that's what you want to do, because that's a major sign of disrespect and really unruliness, because you're just thinking about yourself. You're just no honor, none of that stuff. The whole situation, like when the elder walks in and people stand up, right, to reverence him, and then you know you greet him or whatnot, he sits down and so forth. Like, that is a sign of respect. These aren't just things that you just do. So here it is. If we're all sitting down and the second you're the first one, you reaching here, that's completely out of order, especially if you have those that are elder among you. You know, the younger is supposed to serve the elder. That wasn't just a saying, just like, oh, like with Jacob and Esau, right? But it was reversed. But the younger men served the elder. That is how you're raised to be. But in this society, it's I do what I want to do. Who the hell are you? And that's completely out of order.
That's an element of having class. And what does the scripture say also? To learn how to serve great men, roughly paraphrasing.
Right.
Yeah, so that's an important thing, man. Like, you should be so much of the mindset of a servant and loving to serve that you be serving brothers and you just forget about the fact that you got to eat yourself. And then eventually the Lord, the portion is there for you, you know that. But you also understand that we want to seek each other's benefit. That's why the scriptures talk about preferring each other over our own selves. And the men that have that mindset are going to be blessed for eternity, because that's who's going to receive the kingdom. So
that's a beautiful point, because who was the biggest servant when we were in the wilderness? Moses. Even though he sat in the highest seat, he was the one who was stressed out the most. You know, constantly going back to Heavenly Father saying, oh, these people, Lord, what am I going to do? You know, imagine you go in the wilderness, you ain't got no food, no water. You got thousands of people behind you crying and bitching and moaning and complaining about stupid ass fuck shit. You know how Jake is. And then every small little shit is being brought to you. You sleeping at 2 a.m, someone come knock the door. Boop, boop, boop. Hey, Moses, look, my fence just broke, you know, my tent door, you know, so one of my cattle just ran out. Is it okay if I go chase that nigga down? I know you said we're not supposed to work on the Sabbath and shit. Like, nigga, come on, use common sense, you know? Shit like that. It's like, yo, JD bugging, bro. But you gotta be patient. You gotta be nurturing. You gotta have that balance, you know? So that's what the Lord is cultivating us in this truth, you know, dealing with our daily lives, right? Even dealing with brothers in this faith, you know, knowing how to be merciful, you know what I'm saying? Because remember, everything that you go through, Everything, every interaction that you go through every single day, the Lord is watching you. How do you operate when I put you under this type of situation? Are you gonna be enough for me to use to serve, and also what to lead my people? Are you gonna be willing to do all these things? You know, the examples that I've set before you all throughout the scriptures, are you actually incorporating these things? You see, and those who don't have the ability to do that, the Lord will weed them out. Regardless, you'll be gone. You see, you don't exist. But those who take these things to heart and say, yo, like the spirit of being a shepherd, you got to be very caring. You got to be nurturing. You got to be humble. You got to be patient. You know, patient in spirit. It takes a lot, but you got to be able to do these things. And that's what the Lord is looking for. All right, now I've got a quick precept and I'm going to pass it to the brother. There's a book of Psalm chapter 26, verse 1. It says, a Psalm of David. Judge me, O Yahweh, for I have walked in mine integrity. I have trusted also in the Lord Yahweh, therefore I shall not slide. Examine me, O Lord Yahweh, and prove me. Try my reins and my heart, meaning my mind, right? So the Lord is always going to constantly try you. He's going to put you through duress. There'll be moments where you feel like, damn, Lord, what did I do to deserve this? But don't think of it like that. Think of more like, Lord, grant me the strength and the wisdom, knowledge, and ability to navigate through this, because after this, I'm going to be better. You know, I'm going to be a better servant unto you, Lord. You know, that's the mindset. You know, you got people who catch hell and they don't know how to operate. They want to blame others and shit like that. You got to think of, how do I navigate through this? You see? And that's the Lord is building you to be a better leader. You know, think of Moses, think of Yahushua, think of King David, right? These are all prime examples of how to operate. When you're dealing with a whole lot of people, you're going to deal with all kinds of different shit that might not be your forte. Well, how do you navigate through that? How do you bring that balance? How do you look at two sides using discernment and say, okay, well, this person said this person said that. That's what it means to be a righteous judge, and bring down the hammer according to what the scriptures have said. So the Lord doesn't look at you and say, oh, this fool over here, you're not fit to rule. Get the fuck up out of here. You know? So everything we do, everything we say, the Lord is watching. He's paying attention. So we got to know and make sure that he's accounting for all these things. But you got it.
Proverbs chapter 5, verse 1. My son, attend unto my wisdom, and bow down thine ear to my understanding.
See, a lot of people claim that they have wisdom, claim that they want wisdom, all these things. But when it comes down to it, true wisdom can only really be attained through discipline. Because wisdom is not full wisdom if you just know it. You have to be able to apply it. Okay, and that's when you really feel the benefits of wisdom. I may be a wise man, and I may be able to give you counsel all the time. Oh, you come to me with all your problems, and I give you counsel, and it works. But it works because you apply it. And there's a scripture that talks about one that is beneficial to others, but is of no profit to himself, because you don't apply the wisdom. Not that you don't have it, you have it. You know what it does. You know how it works. You just don't do it. And then that's of no benefit to you. So let's read that again.
Proverbs chapter 5, verse 1. My son, attend unto my wisdom.
Attend unto my wisdom. Go on.
And bow down thine ear to my understanding.
Meaning listen. Go on.
That thou mayest regard, that thou mayest regard discretion, and that thy lips may keep knowledge.
That's it. That thou mayest regard my discretion. And there's another verse that talks about wisdom to teach subtlety to the simple. I think it might be that one as well. But that's important. You need to be able to know how to be incognito sometimes. Sometimes you just got to be quiet. You may have a lot to say, but the wisest thing, there's a saying that people may think that you're a fool, and opening your mouth will only confirm it for them if you actually are a fool. Meaning that sometimes people may think you're a fool, but if you don't say anything, then it's just speculation and thoughts. But the second you open your mouth and actually say something foolish, you confirm it. You seal it in their minds. Yeah, this guy's he's a certified buffoon, and that's it. You know, that's all it is in my mind. It's been confirmed for me. So sometimes the scriptures say even a fool is counted wise when he holdeth his tongue. But anyway, going back to the point, right? Dealing with the hardships that are coming. Those hardships are going to lead to what we started reading of here with that famine. And famine is a big deal, man. No, not having access to food. The, the thing about the human mind is we're so focused on doing 1,000,001 things at once that we tend to just take for granted some of these very essential things in our life, which are like eating and sleeping and drinking. I mean, drinking like drinking water, and so on and so forth. Having water to brush your teeth with and take a shower, and lip balm and a soft bed and a pillow. All of these things you take for granted until you don't have them anymore. Imagine you got to sleep on concrete. It literally ain't nowhere. You got nowhere to go. It's dark. You're tired, and you got to sleep on a concrete floor. No blanket, no nothing. I mean, people ain't even. So let's read that.
This is 2 Kings 6:24. And it came to pass after this that Ben-Hadad, king of Syria, gathered all his host and went up and besieged Samaria.
Which is in Israel. Lord.
And there was a great famine in Samaria, and behold, they besieged it until an ass's head was sold for 80 pieces of silver.
So things got so scarce that they were selling it at a donkey's head for 80 pieces of silver. Lord.
And the fourth part of a cab of dove's dung for 5 pieces of silver.
They were selling dove's dung for 5 pieces of silver. Now you could do a number of things. You could do a number of things with dove's dung or just dung in general. Okay, you don't always purchase dung to eat it. I don't think that people actually go to purchase dung to eat it. But yeah, exactly. There's fertilizer, and number two, it was also used as a means of fire. Where when you read in the book of Ezekiel, in one of the books of Manners and Customs, it tells you about mixing dung, where you would get dung and you would use it as a means of actual fire. I forget the exact mechanics behind it, but you could dung actually, it actually does, like dry dung. That is, it actually can be used for fire, and they can use that to cook.
Yeah, because of the methane, that comes from the animals, it's a form of ignition. So when they dry it out, it's a whole process that they do. But you take it and then you let it sit for. It takes months actually. It's a whole process, and then the methane that's in there, you mix it with coal, and then you could use it for fire or whatever it is, and then it becomes a thing that can last for days. It'll burn for days, sometimes weeks. So even in the ancient world, they used to do that to create charcoal. They'll cut the trees, and then they'll dig the ground, right? So that the branches, the trees, the wood, and all that they're gonna use to create the coal, they'll chop them up, and then after they dug the ground, they'll put the trees into the ground, right? And then they'll cover it with all the dung, and then they'll light it on fire, and then they'll put a whole bunch of branches over it, and then they cover it up with sand. So the fire is burning through with the methane from the dung that's dried up. It's burning through the wood. And then with the sand and everything, it turns into coal after a while. So they'll take the soil off of it, and then next thing you know, you got a whole bunch of coal that you can use to set a fire and shit like that. So in the ancient world, they used to do all these things, which is technology that we know today, but we can't really do until the time comes. Most people around, they don't even know this shit. They just walk around with empty ass heads talking shit, but they don't know what's going on, man.
Yep.
But you got it.
Yep. All survival tactics. Because keep in mind, like you said, right, in the ancient world, they didn't have they had a means to do things, but they didn't have the technology that we have today. And this technology has really been a disservice to some extent, because the more convenient life becomes, the more idiotic or foolish people become, because they have no need to learn about the mechanics behind these things. Why do I need to learn how a water filter works when I can just buy it and it does the thing for me? As when in the ancient world, I didn't have a water filter. So I needed to learn, how do I filter water instead of just buying a water filter? That's today's definition. How do you filter water? Oh, go get a water filter. In the ancient world, how do you filter water? Oh, well, you're going to have to do it another way. Like there's one way where you know about it, right? You put like a shirt or something over an open bucket or a cup. And then if the water, whatever, it's like a stream or a river and it's not too clean, you pour the water over your shirt into the bucket. And the shirt is the first layer that catches all the different dirt and so on and so forth as best as it can. Filtration. And then the water that you have under, you can boil it to then kill the bacteria, the smaller ones, and the dirt that goes through the layers of the shirt. And that's one form of water filtration without a water filter. Now, when shit goes south, you can start a fire without a stove, and you can have a shirt or material like that. Pretty sure somebody got a shirt on their back.
Yeah.
and instantly you can do that, right?
Yeah.
People don't know that.
Hey, even us men, our mustache is a form of a filter. You
Yep,
know, in the
yep.
ancient
And your
world,
beard.
yeah, you know, your beard, you know, when you drink your water, you fetch it with your palm. So you got the water right here like that. And then, you know, it tells you there's a record of that. I believe in the Old Testament, there's a record where Gideon, the Lord told
Yeah,
him that he should get those men, the 300,
yep.
where he had to narrow it down. And he said, go to the river and see how they're going to drink. And watch and see. There's two types of men. Those who are on point, they're going to fetch the water in their hands and they're going to drink while their head is up. So they're watching, they're still alert. And you got the other ones who they dip their head in the fucking the stream of water and they start drinking from there with the asses up and their head is down, drinking the water from there. You can't do that because what happens? The Lord is watching intelligence. Oh, okay, this guy over here, he doesn't know what the hell is going on. He doesn't have those social clues that we talked about earlier. You see, so the Lord is watching all these things. So you get those who fetch the water with two hands, right? And then they could go like this while they're watching and drinking. And then anything like you might have like leaves or anything like that that might be in the water. Guess what? It gets caught in your beard and your mustache. So that's how it's able to catch all those germs and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? So these are even things the Lord has for even the human body that protects us, man. And then of course it gets into your system. You got the immune system at that time. You know, you're taking certain types of herbs. So these little bacteria that might escape your beard or whatever is not going to affect you like in a way where you're like, oh, I'm getting sick because I drank water from a stream, you know. And then Elijah had to drink from the brook, right? Did he get sick? But today, if you tell somebody, hey, you got to drink from a brook, they're gonna look at you like, nah, bro, I need that Poland Spring. Well, Poland Spring is acidic. That brook is fresh water. Don't you see the deer that stopped to drink that water? Do you see them dying? No. So why are you not drinking that? Right? Because we're not conditioned here in the West to use our natural ways. Even food, water, herbs, everything is, well, it has to be factory created. I got to go to the grocery store to buy this. Well, how about you learn how to do it? No, that's too much work. Let me just go buy it instead. You see what I'm saying? Like even learning mechanisms of your car. You know, I was talking to my mechanic the other day. He was telling me, he's like, yo, there's a lot of things that, you know, you can learn how to do on your own. You know, so you don't have to, you know, come over here all the time just to fix something so simple that you could do on your own. You know what I'm saying? And in the ancient world, even in different countries, they do their own shit. You know, you see niggas laying underneath their car, they jack up the car, and they start changing their own oil, changing tires, doing all kinds of shit. Hey, you could do these things. You know what I'm saying? But Esau makes it so hard to, you know, be independent. They want you to depend on them and their system. You know, but hey, with a little wisdom and studying, hey, you could do these things, man. You know?
Yeah, it's very important to know. And like you mentioned about the bodies, the Most High. See, there was once a world that didn't involve the medical advances that you have today. Why didn't people go extinct before we invented these devices? If these devices are so needed in life, because the body has a natural defense mechanism, and like you mentioned, there are three main layers of defense that you already have. The first one is in your mouth, your saliva. The second food goes into your mouth, your saliva wraps around it. There's amylase, which has certain enzymes in there that already start fighting any foreign bacteria in there. And if bacteria make it past there, they go down, they face your second layer, which is in your stomach. The acid in your stomach is enough to corrode rust off of metal. So the acid in your stomach is very strong. That's why if you look it up, your stomach has a coating around it so that the acid doesn't get out and touch the actual outer organs, or else your shit will be melting. That is how acidic that acid in your stomach actually is. That's why when people get that heartburn, that should be burning like a mother. Okay, yeah, like you can't, you know. And then if they get past that, then you have the defense mechanism in your intestines. All right, you have these bacteria. Okay, that's why you got to eat foods that are good at prebiotics and probiotics. And one good source is asparagus. Asparagus is very rich in probiotics, which is good for your the bacteria in your gut. Okay, also kefir. Kefir is also another one with a lot of I think it's like live biomes, which are very good for the bacteria in your gut, because you have good bacteria, you have bad bacteria. Kombucha, yeah, that's also good too. Kefir it looks almost like yogurt, like a big bottle of like yogurt looking substance. You get KIEFUR, kefir. You get some of that. It's not the best tasting in the world, but it definitely has a lot of good health benefits. Yeah, your gut is very
And Esau knows that. So that's why the food that they give you, the GMOs, it has the problem with genetically modified. One of the main problems amongst many is that it's all coated with pesticides, and those pesticides, they strip the good bacteria from your stomach. I'll give you a quick testimony. For example, I used to eat, like, I still do try to eat clean, right? But then there was one time I was just fiending for some Captain Crunch, right? Whatever, because I was thinking of my childhood. I'm like, man, you know what? One box wouldn't hurt. So then I eat it. That shit stripped the good bacteria out of my stomach, and I had a stomach. I think I had a stomach bug like the same day or the day after, and I knew it was from the shit I was eating, because all those the GMO corn that they use in those cereals is coated with pesticides, and those pesticides destroy your biome, which is the our stomachs itself is like an ecosystem. And when you eat these certain foods, it strips it out of you, and then your body's not going to have that good bacteria to break things down.
So the Lord built a natural defense mechanism in there. And they have this process where they remove your tonsils. You're not supposed to remove your tonsils. That's also a defense mechanism for you. Anything that's in your body when you're born, that you're born with, is meant to be there. Like, this is straight common sense 101. If it wasn't meant to be there, it wouldn't be there. And I'm not talking about like a second nose or a third eye. I mean, just like natural things that your body has. Yeah. Like, it's all good. Yeah. Most I gave you 2 kidneys, but no, you can live with 1, so donate another one. Why did he give you 2? People, man. Let's go back to that.
2 Kings 6:26. And as the king of Israel was passing by upon the wall,
Which I believe that was Ahab at that time. Go on. But he was another demon.
there cried a woman unto him, saying, Help my lord, O king. And he said, If the Lord do not help thee, when shall I help thee?
Yeah, because the famine was so sore. She's saying help, and he like, you see the famine around you? If the Most High ain't helping us, what am I supposed to do? I'm also human. Go on.
Out of the barn floor, or out of the winepress. And, and he said, If the Lord do not help thee, when shall I help thee? Out of the barn floor, or out of the winepress?
Right. So he's saying, look, if the Lord calls a famine to come, what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to the barn floor is basically where you would gather all the harvest, right? And the wine press is where all the grapes that you would use, you would get all that. But if there's a famine, you ain't got nothing over there. Everything is scarce, So you want me to fill up the floor? You want me to fill up the wine press? Like, I don't have the power to do that. Go on.
And the king said unto her, What aileth? What aileth thee?
What's bothering you? What's your problem?
And she answered, This woman said unto me, Give thy son, that we may eat him today.
So it's likely that she was likely there with the other woman, So the famine is so sore. She said, "Yo," she pitched the idea that I should bring my son and we're gonna eat him. Go ahead.
And we will eat my son tomorrow.
And we will eat my son tomorrow. Go on. So she said, "Look, I'm a mother, you a mother. We both got kids. We eat yours today. We eat mine tomorrow." Go ahead.
So we boiled my son and did eat him.
So now, how severe did the famine have to be for the mother of the child to actually be to think that was a good enough idea to go with it, to where it sounded good to her? Maybe she started reasoning with herself. See, this is why. Can we get real quick Jeremiah 17:9? That's the heart, right? The heart is desperately wicked. Let's get that one real quick, because show you the dangers of the mind. The mind is a very dangerous place in the sense that it can almost sell anything to you. Your mind can almost sell anything to you. And that's why we have the laws in the book and the scriptures as a guideline. Because if you don't have those laws, your mind will turn you into a sociopath. You'll think that something that is off is okay to do because your mind will justify it in that moment. Try trying to wake up early for 1 week straight. Try to wake up at 4 a.m. And the second your alarm rings, you literally have less than 1 second to get up and right when your alarm rings. If you don't, you ain't even getting up. Because the second that time passes, your mind says, whoa, hold up. It's like you get up and your mind like, let's sit back down. Hold on 1 second. Let me talk to you real quick. What you really getting up at 4 a.m. for? You really have to go to the gym at this time? You can't lay down a bit more? Go in the evening. It's bad. Like, it's cold. It's dangerous out. Somebody can mug your ass. You know, you need at least 7 to 9 hours of sleep. That's what the American study said. So lay your ass back down. I mean, all types of shit. And as your mind is telling you, you're just going back to sleep. And then you're gone. Your brain is the best con artist in the world. Trust me.
Right. And that's why that's one thing too, when it comes to like planning. You know, you got to be very careful when you set a plan. You actually have to try as hard as you can not to deviate from that plan. Well, you know, because sometimes you might have a plan ahead of time, but you might have an emergency or certain things that might, you know, mess up your plan. But you got to find a way to jump over that hurdle and stick to that plan. You know, there's a reason why you got to take everything into account. Some people fuck up and mess up because why? They don't think of everything. They don't think of the reality of the fact that more times than not, your plans are not going to come to fruition like how you plan it in your head. You see, your brain will tell you, oh, let's go here. Let's do it this way. This, you know, you imagine how it's going to be, but little did you know that, yo, shit, hold on. Let me take into consideration. Hold on. What if my car breaks down on my way there? Have you thought about what could possibly happen? Oh, okay, well, I have that situated. So in case that happens, we're good. Oh, what if it starts raining? Do we have an umbrella? Okay, what if we get there and there's no parking? Is there any way we could park? Do we have extra money to pay for parking? Right? Okay, so if this you got to think of all these things because these are factors that if you don't apply, you will end up messing up. You know, more times than not. And that's because the brain tells you, nah, we planned it, everything should be fine. Well, you're not the only person on earth. There's other people who have other plans that could come and fuck up your plans, right? So you always got to remember that. And also remember, what is Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua's will? Ultimately, that's the point. What is Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua's will? This is what I've planned, but this is what Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua has purposed. So what's going to happen? Ultimately, his will will override my will because his will is my will. You see, whether I know it or not, hey, man's goings is of the Lord. How can a man then understand his own way? You see, so we have to be able to be mature enough to step back and say, hold on, just because it didn't go my way doesn't mean that's the way it should have gone. Nah, it's the Heavenly Father's way. So hold on, why did it go this way? Let me step back, let me re-examine and see, okay, Lord, well, I wanted to go here today, but it didn't happen. So maybe you have something else for me to do. Let me do that. And then you reward me something else that'll be better than what I actually planned in my brain. You see what I'm saying? So that's also part of, you know, the truth and what it does for you. Wisdom.
Yeah. The biggest con artist. You got that in the, oh, you got that? Whoever got it.
I have one real quick, if I may.
Yeah.
Wisdom of Solomon 6:16. For she goeth about seeking such as are worthy of her, sheweth herself favorably unto them in the ways, and meeteth them in every thought. Yeah, so that's referring to wisdom. That she, in the scriptures, wisdom is likened unto a woman. Not because women are inherently wise, but because wisdom is something for a man to obtain at the end of the day. You know, so what do we love? Women. So the Lord likened what you love unto wisdom. Wisdom should be the main woman, but the point is that when wisdom is with you, thoughts are going to pop into your head, but wisdom is going to meet. It's like a shield. So we have demonic thoughts sometimes. That's just straight up. But we rebuke them. And we say, nah, I don't, that's not me. I don't feel that. I know that's not me. I'm rebuking that in the name of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. And that's how wisdom meets you in every thought. And now going to what the brother called for. Jeremiah 17:9. The heart is deceitful above all things.
Hold on that. Bring out your point.
This is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 9, verse 15. For the corruptible body presseth down the soul, and the earthly tabernacle weighed down the mind that museth upon many things. So this body that we're in, it's already a corruptible body, like the brother's going into. We're susceptible to demons attacking us. And what? Being in this corruptible body, like we're going to bring out in Jeremiah, what? The mind museth upon many things. So your mind will think, go in this direction, go in this direction. Like the brother's going into. You need a straight path, like the scripture says, singleness of mind. You need to go in this direction. But your mind will take you here. Your mind will take you there. And it's just all over the place. And you need to be organized. You need to be focused on what you need to do, not all over the place. And that's what your mind is. That's why you have so many thoughts. That's why sometimes you have like those people like panic or like nervous or whatever. They're like, oh, what this happened? Well, really, usually women are like that. They're like, what is this? What about this happen? What about that? No. focus on what needs to be done. But what about this happens? I don't know about that, but just focus here. Here, stay here.
That's what you do to children. Look at me right here. No, right here, right here. That's what you gotta do to children.
Their minds is very like all over the place. So you got to get them, like you said, to focus.
Yeah, they got too much going on. You gotta calm it down, and usually, and that's really a lot of distractions. Like if you try to do something that requires attention, like studying, you have to train yourself to be able to study, because the second you start reading at a book, 10,000 different things come to mind at the same time. What the hell is this? Why am I thinking about this? You know what I mean? Like, where the hell did this come from? And then you shake it off, okay? And you find yourself 15 minutes gone by, you've read 2 sentences. Because you have to keep rereading to try and understand what you're reading, because you get halfway through and you see a word and you remember that time I went to the hotel over there? You know, why is that in my head? You know, because your mind is all over the place. And sometimes that's what demons want to do, especially when you read in the scriptures. And it's either that or you just start feeling sleepy. I just woke up. It's still like 10 a.m. in the morning. Why do I feel so tired? Or sometimes before coming to camp, you feel, why do I feel so tired? That's them demons, you know? But you can bring out, there's more than that?
Yeah, actually, I want to kind of just see verse 14, so I'll read it again. This is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 9, verse 14. For the thoughts of mortal men are miserable, and our devices are uncertain, which devices go into what? Your plans and things like that. Because you could say, I'm going to do this.
Battery low.
Oh, yeah, I got it.
Water. Brother Cousin. Beautiful. You go ahead, bro.
Again. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 9, verse 14. For the thoughts of mortal men are miserable, and our devices are but uncertain. Right? Because again, going into devices, which are your plans, you don't know if your plan is going to happen, going to go through. I believe it says in Lamentations chapter 3, verse 37. Who is he that said and coming to pass when the Lord commanded it not? Right. So if the Lord didn't authorize you to do something, it's not going to happen. So your plans are uncertain. Or like that precept the brother went out earlier in the story where Yahushua mentioned the man who wants to build up a bigger barn house. But what? He said, thou fool, this day will the Lord require thy life. So you could plan something, but you don't know what the Lord's plans are going to be. Right. Going into, like the brothers mentioned, Aharon, basically the Lord's will. The Lord's will is always going to override what you want.
Right.
For the corruptible body presseth down the soul, and the earthly tabernacle weigheth down the mind that museth upon many things. And hardly do we guess aright at things that are upon the earth. And with labor do we find the things that are before us, but the things that are in heaven who had searched out.
That's it. Let's go. Let's get that in Jeremiah.
Jeremiah 17:9. The heart is deceitful above all things.
Now, the heart goes back to the Hebrew word lab, which means your mind. Okay, so your mind, when they say follow your heart, no, follow the scriptures. Go ahead.
And desperately wicked.
And
Who
desperately
can know it?
I don't know why. Stop. Maybe the socket isn't working. I don't know. I just went off. I'm not sure. But yeah, as it says, right, desperately wicked. Who can not hold the phone? Okay, there you go. Who can know it? So, meaning in the sense that you can't fully tame or control that mind. Okay, it's desperately wicked, meaning that it's not subject to the laws of righteousness. Sometimes it can be, if it's in its best interest, but sometimes it just does whatever it wants to do. Okay, so now going back to the point here, which was that these two mothers, one of them said, hey, let's eat your child today and we're going to eat mine tomorrow. I'm telling you that I'm sure that the fact that she agreed to that means that her mind, her heart, being desperately wicked, made some justification as to why it was okay to kill her, boil her son, and have them eat him. Maybe the brain starts to say, really think about it. As a mother, don't think about it like you're murdering your child, but it's mercy. Is your child really going to survive this famine? They're young. You want them to die a slow death? Give them a mercy killing. And while they're already dead, feed yourself. What's the matter with that? You're hungry. And then it gets to the point where you go beyond reasoning. And you go so primitive that, well, meat is meat, right? I mean, what's the difference between that meat and cow meat or chicken meat? Meat is meat. You know, you gotta do what you gotta do. And then you go on ahead. And some way, somehow, you end up with a dead son. So let's read it. And we're gonna finish this and then close out.
I'll read from verse 29. 2 Kings 6:29. So we boiled my son and did eat him. And I said unto her on the next day, give thy son that we may eat him.
See that? So she said, well, this is the agreement, right? We ate my son. Now bring your son. Let's do what we got to do. Go on.
And she have hid her son.
Yeah. He said, yeah, okay. So the second woman didn't bring her son. She ain't with that. What? Nah, nigga, no. Go ahead.
And it came to pass, when the king heard the words of the woman, and he rent his clothes, and he passed by upon the wall, and the people looked.
So when he heard the story, he was so messed up. Go on.
And behold, he had sackcloth within upon his flesh.
Uh-huh.
Then he said,
and in the ancient world, sackcloth used to be made of goat hairs. Goat hairs as a garment is very uncomfortable. It's known for irritating the skin. The reason of having sackcloth was to afflict your body, so you would be in a mournful state. Go on.
Then he said, God do so and more also to me, if the head of Elisha, the son of Shaphat, shall stand on him this day.
Meaning, in the ancient world, when you say God do so unto me, what you're saying is whatever I'm about to say. If I say if this man is not alive by the end of the day, what you're saying is Most High put me to death if I don't put you to death by the end of the day. You know, like today they'll say I'll be damned if I don't boom boom boom. You know, so what he's saying is if I find Elisha, this guy is dead. Read that verse again.
Verse 31. Then he said, God do so and more also to me, if the head of Elisha, the son of Shaphat, shall stand on him this day.
Yeah, so he basically wanted to kill Elisha. He wanted to take his head off. That's how pissed off he was. Go on.
But Elisha sat in his house, and the elders sat with him. And the king set a man from before him.
And Elisha was a very special prophet. Go on.
But the messenger came to him.
So before the messenger got there,
he said to the elders, See ye how this son of a murderer have sent to take away my head.
So Elisha already knew what Ahab was his plans were, because the Most High alerted him to it. So he was telling them already, look, this dude just sent a messenger, this son of a murderer, and he wants to take my head off. Go on.
Look, when the messenger cometh, shut the door, and hold him fast at the door.
So don't let him in. Go on.
Is not the sound of his master's feet behind him? And while he yet talked with them, behold, the messenger came down unto him, and he said, Behold, this evil is of the Lord. What should I wait for? What should I wait for the Lord any longer?
So in essence, you coming after me, but the Most High is the one who's doing this, you know. But he still wanted Elisha's head. Now the Lord blessed Elisha, like I said, he was a very special prophet because he had the ability. I mean, he was doing a whole lot of things, and there's various accounts where the Lord, and those are perfect examples where the Lord alerted him to things before they happened. I believe one account was the widow woman whose sons, basically her husband owed others, and so when her husband died, the others wanted to come take her sons as slaves to pay off the debt, and that's when Elisha told her take the different barrels and then fill it with oil and then give it to your debtors and so on and so forth, right? And even I believe it was Elisha dealing with was it Jeroboam's wife's child, but my history is a little hazy on that part, but it was said that the second she would enter the city to go back, the second she enters the city, her child is going to die. I think she went to him to inquire about the child, and then it was told her that the second she enters into the city, the child is going to die. And truly, when she finally made it to her house, they said, oh, the child died just about 30 minutes ago. And she did the math and found out that was just about when I entered the city. You know, so there was various accounts where the Lord alerted him ahead of time what would happen. And that tells us now that we're going to be good. You may be hauled up in a certain area, and the Lord will let you know instantly in your head, boom, look, it's time to go. Get everybody up now and get out. Or move up to the next floor. Or just, you know, everybody just be quiet. Whatever it is, turn off all the lights. Be quiet. Everybody lay down.
That's what I think. When in the beginning, when Neo got the phone call from Morpheus, and he warned him about the agents, and he tried to lead him out. I think he still got captured, but he tried to lead him out
To the telephone, the nearest telephone they can get out. Yeah. So the Lord is going to guide us wherever we need to go. And that's why, as it says in Joshua 1:9, have I not commanded thee, be strong and of a good courage? So the Lord is with us. You know, we ain't got nothing to worry about. You got something?
Yeah, if brothers gonna close it out, I just want to close out with one last precept.
Yep.
All right. Like you said, you know, the Lord has purposed everything at its due time. So whether it be good or whether it be evil, ultimately it's all through the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. We just hope and pray that we are in His good graces when those evils come. Okay. So we're gonna close it out with the book of Ecclesiasticus, or the book of Sirach, chapter 39 and verse 16. It says, all the works of the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahushua are exceeding good, and whatsoever He commandeth shall be accomplished in due season.
Right.
So with that,
Was it on that?
yeah, that's pretty much it on that.
Anything else? All right. Cool. So we want to close this out?
Hey, Khan, hey, that was beautiful teaching, beautiful street ministry. All right, and Lord willing, you know, brothers and sisters who are watching, you were edified. All right, and we'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Hashem, Yahushai, Hashem, and until next time, shalom to the elect.
Shalom.